for it?
None at all. I mean, in all reality, there is some like hopes and thoughts of like fighting up in the rankings and that kind of thing. Like, of course, everyone wants to fight a higher ranked opponent each time, but if that's not available, I don't want to sit around for 6, 8, 10 months waiting for the perfect opponent. So if the next best guy is in the rank number 15, and so be it, I'll go out there and make the best of the opportunity.
Where do you think that comes from? I mean, is that a lesson you've learned in your career? Because it does seem like what you said. There's a lot of people that are like, well, I'm only fighting up, or I'm waiting for this fight. I mean, is this a lesson you learned, or just something within you?
Yeah, I mean, just throughout the years, I mean, I can't take my fights for granted anymore. I mean, there's been a year where I had a career-threatening injury that sidelined me for 9 months, and then I had a whole USADA situation that took me out for 18 months. So for me, it's just going out there making the best of opportunities and not necessarily waiting for the perfect moment to present itself. If it's number 15, I'll make the best with that. If it's number 5, I'll make the best of that. But I'm not sitting around taking things for granted, waiting for that perfect opportunity.
Yeah, I love that. Quick turnaround here. Is that ideal for you, or is it kind of challenging to like get ready in that short of time?
No, this is great. I mean, I love the quick turnaround. Like I said, I do not like the long layoffs in between training camp. I'm not one of those guys that like wins a fight, loses a fight, and just like disappears from the gym for a few months. If I win a fight, I'm right back in the gym on Monday talking to my coaches about what I could have done better, where I can improve, and things like that. So to get a quick turnaround like this, I'm excited for it. I mean, I took a lot of things away from the Max Griffin fight that I can apply to this fight right away. So I definitely feel more than ready for this fight on Saturday.
I dig it. I mean, you know, Shavkat's getting all the attention. He's the new guy. I mean, but you fought everybody. I mean, when you look at this guy's skills, where does he stack up? I mean, is he as good as everybody thinks he is, or is he just another guy?
I mean, literally every last one of us who fight for UFC were undefeated at some point or another. Then you went out there and faced an absolute beast and was like, oh, damn, there's definitely levels to this. And I look at I look at Shavkat, and I think the exact same thing. I mean, the guy is talented. He is 15-0. You don't get to be 15-0 by accident. You definitely have to do some really great things consistently in order to get to that record. But at the same time, it's like he hasn't fought a seasoned vet like me yet. He hasn't fought the guys that I fought yet. So for me to go out there on Saturday night and show him that there's levels to this game is going to be my goal.
Nice. Knowing that you'll basically take any fight because you'll fight. I mean, are there goals like you went here? I mean, are you looking at certain names or certain opportunities, or do you even worry about that stuff?
Ideally, I would love to have a top 5 opponent after this fight. I mean, that's the way it should go. You out there have a great performance, you get a high-ranked opponent. That's how it should go. But the reality of it is, things don't always go as they should. And with that being the case, if I get stuck fighting number 6 guy, number 7 guy, whoever it may be, I'm going to go out there and keep moving forward towards my goal. Like, I do not care what it takes to become champion. I'll do whatever it takes.
I love it. All that said, I guess last question. I mean, what kind of fight do you think we see? This guy has been very, very dominant, very explosive. I mean, do you think this is a fight that unfolds quickly, or is this something where maybe you're better off dragging him to deep waters?
Oh, it's going to be a very dominant fight. It just won't be him dominating. Like, I'm planning on go out there and dominate this fight from beginning to end. And I can't wait to go out there and make it exciting for the fans.
Hey, Neil.
Hey.
Over to your...
Oh, sorry.
Your son came early, 6 weeks early. Was that I mean, were you nervous? Like that would it would interrupt fight camp? Like what's that? Like what was that?
So at first it is nerve-wracking when you hear your child's gonna be born premature. You're worried about like all of the health concerns that can come with that. But immediately out of the womb, he was doing great. Like they put him on oxygen for like the first 5 minutes, and he pulled it off. And then the doctors came in and said that he didn't need it because he was breathing fine on his own. So he just had to stay in the NICU for 2 weeks to get his weight up. But other than that, he was doing great. Him showing up early ended up being a blessing in disguise. He was my wife was scheduled to have a C-section on the 21st, which was yesterday. So I literally went from the hospital straight to the airport to come here for fight week. So the fact that he came early was literally a blessing in disguise. She was able to have him naturally because he was a lot smaller than his brother, so she didn't need to have a C-section. She was able to recover rather quickly from giving birth, and he's doing just fine. So it all worked out for the great good.
Congrats on that.
Thank you.
I just wanted to talk about Khamzat, man. How frustrating is it that like he's like, no one will fight me, but you've been calling his name for like a year now?
At the end of the day, you just have to take it for what it is. I mean, right now, it's like as much as important it is to go out there and fight well and train hard and that kind of stuff. Marketing is equally as important. So if he needs to play the boogeyman in order to like promote his career and get to where he's trying to go, I can't necessarily fault him for that. But I know I did everything within my power to go out there and give him the fight that he was asking for.
And then with Shavkat, man, so like he's this phenom. Was there any thought in your brain were like, yeah, maybe let's skip this one, or was it just like, I'll fight anybody?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm here to fight the best guys in the world. I mean, especially with the landscape of mixed martial arts changing, the landscape of combat sports changing, where we're not necessarily seeing the best against the best. We're seeing the most marketable against the most marketable. For me, fighting Shavkat is fighting one of the best up-and-comers out there. So I'm ready to go out there and test myself against him and show why I deserve fighting a top 5 opponent and eventually fight for a title.
And finally, for me, who originally gave you your nickname?
Yeah, so I decided to go with the Haitian Sensation nickname. It was something that's been thrown around for a while, but I decided to go with that nickname, particularly after doing a mission trip to Haiti. One of the things that I noticed when I would go out there is that all the missionaries that would work within Haiti, they all gravitate towards the young, innocent children. It's like, oh yeah, 3-year-old orphan. Like, of course, I want to like give this child the world and support them and do whatever they can for them. But as these kids get older, as they start to age out of orphanages and they start like becoming young adults, like 16, 17, 18 years old, there's not many people who are willing to go out there and like support them, whether it's like going through trade school, college, whatever else it may be. And so for some of these kids, they kind of like, they don't have a vision for themselves. They don't have a goal for themselves. They kind of like have this cap, like, okay, great, I had someone to care for me from birth up until now, but where's my life go from here? And going with the Haitian Sensation nickname is more so to inspire those kids to kind of dream big and go for whatever you want to do. So if you want to be an engineer, doctor, athlete, whatever it may be, go for it. Just chase whatever you can do. So you can see me, another Haitian athlete out there doing the best you can. There's no doubt in my mind you go out there and do the same for yourself. So that's kind of why I chose that name.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
And good luck.
Thank you.
I know. Down in.
Now it's you.
I feel like you have this reputation where when there's a young guy coming up the rankings and then you get booked against them, all the fans are kind of like, oh, well, now we finally get to see if this guy's legit or not. You're like the tester of that. Do you like that reputation, or do you think it kind of puts you in a spot where, oh, everyone's just seeing if people can walk over me?
No, I mean, I feel like being put in that spot, I've proven myself time and time again, like, hey, I'm not that guy. If you think I'm the guy that you're going to, like, make a name off of or, like, leapfrog off of, that is absolutely not me. If you're looking for a guy that's going to go out there, give you a tough fight, give you a run for money, bring out the best of you, that's absolutely me. So I don't necessarily fear getting labeled as the quote-unquote gatekeeper or the guy that's, like, a stepping stone for the up-and-coming guys. I know the kind of athlete I am. I know the kind of danger I pose to my opponents. So it doesn't worry me at all being labeled as the quote-unquote gatekeeper.
I'm curious what you think, because obviously there are comparisons made between Shavkat and Khamzat, right? Shavkat thinks he should be sort of getting the press that Khamzat is. From the outside perspective, who do you think's the better one out of those two guys?
Both guys are great athletes. There's no denying what these guys have done throughout their careers. But you see them go get, like the Khamzat fight against Gilbert Burns, a perfect example of it. Like, he went from absorbing 3 shots in 3 fights over the course of your first 3 fights in UFC to literally getting beat up for three rounds against this guy like Gilbert Burns. So in my opinion, these guys are great athletes, but when you face other great athletes or experienced veterans like myself or Gilbert Burns, it's a whole nother playing field.
Do you think that's where there's some disconnects between the fans and media and actual fighters, where we all love to get on these hype trains and most of the fighters are like, going, no, it doesn't count until you beat someone that counts?
That's how it should be. I mean, like, but the thing that makes it difficult is, like, it's not the olden days of UFC where we had like a tournament format or anything like that. So a lot of things, it comes down as marketing. So if you're basing it off of someone's following or a 30-second clip of what this person can do, like, of course, the general audience is like, oh my God, this guy's great. Look what he just did in 30 seconds. But the reality of it is there's so much more to a fight game than highlights or whatever. So yeah, I'm here for longevity.
Thanks, man.
So I just want to follow up real quick. I've never heard you talk about marketing as much as I have heard you today. Is that like kind of a new revelation? Like, damn, I thought I could just fight everybody and that'd get me up. Now I realize, no, I got to market myself a little.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one of the things that I have to accept as the sport changes. Like, I can't be the guy complaining like, oh, boo-hoo, poor me, I didn't get a title shot. I have to realize that the game has evolved and the game has changed. Like, not only do I have to go out there and win fights, I have to do it impressively and I have to be marketable as well. So understanding where the game is going, I do need to put a little more focus in that, in addition to spending all this time in the gym as well.
So you said that your newborn was able to get off oxygen even while in the NICU. So you're saying he's inherited the cardio from you already, right?
Immediately. He's been blessed with great lungs and some strong resilience. Like, the fact that he pulled that oxygen off so quick, I was like, yeah, that's my boy. Let's go.
That's all. Well, I mean, I think a lot of fighters, you go in and you're getting in fights. You have a lot of people have the pressure of the fight weeks and there's all that other stuff. But when you face something like that, does that kind of put it all in perspective when you deal with a fight week and the pressures? knowing that there's real life stuff, with family that kind of.
100%. I mean, like the things I've survived throughout my life, the things I've endured throughout my life, fight week is the easiest thing I get to do. I get to lock myself in a cage for 15, 25 minutes in a sanctioned fight. That is by far one of the easiest things I ever had to do in my life. I'm not in war. I'm not at the hospital in NICU hoping that my son makes it through. I'm not losing the most important people in my life. I'm not doing any of that stuff. So the fact that I get to go out there and do what I love for 15, 25 minutes, like that is literally the most stress-relieving thing I can do in the world.
It's awesome. I'm glad he's healthy and mom's healthy as well. I'll give you a chance to market. What are those kicks that you're wearing there?
Am I allowed to say they're Jordan 1s or when I get fined by?
I don't care. I think they're pretty badass.
Question. I'm gonna get fined for marketing these kicks. Yeah.
Last time I marketed.
They're dope. That's why I just want to give you a chance to throw that out there. Like you said, you've been kind of have this rush to want to get in there and fight and get back in the cage. Now, is that partially because, we see a lot of fighters as they go on and as they get more fights, they almost want to take better care of their body, unless they're rushing to get done by a certain time. Is there a time frame that you're working towards that you want to get a certain amount of fights by a certain amount of time, or is it just that you want to stay active?
No, the gold is the gold. Gold is the goal. Like for me, is getting up there, become UFC champion. Like I want to exhaust literally every single opportunity to get there and become a champion. So if it means I have to fight 8 times a year, sign me up. I'm ready to go out there and do it. I don't necessarily look at like, I have to get 8 fights in before I'm 34, 38, or whatever it may be. I look at guys like Glover Teixeira, who's able to become UFC champion at 42, and for me, that gives me hope. That isn't like, hey, you have 6 to 8 good years left in you. Go out there and make the best of it. So I definitely have no doubt I'm going to be UFC champion. For me, it's about like, how do I make it happen and how do I get there?
Is that kind of what the whole John brought up about the marketing and spinning and kind of really doing that sort of thing? Is that kind of what an added twist that you've added to your game as well? It's one thing to go into the gym, but you feel that now you have to, really focus on the business side and the promotion side as well?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's definitely a part of the game that has evolved over the last couple of years. And if I'm being honest with myself, it's something I never paid attention to. I was just like, just keep beating people up and things will work out. And it just hasn't worked out the way I thought it had. So it's definitely a piece I have to focus on more as I move forward in my career now.
And I know, last one for me, I know a lot of fighters like to visualize and sort of see their future, and work towards that future. So when you have visualized it and everything lines itself out, when can you see yourself being the champ? When have you set that goal for yourself?
Realistically, for me, like I'm getting a top 5 opponent before the year is over with, and I'm fighting for a title early next year. That's how I see it playing on my mind. Unless something crazy happens, someone falls out the week of, and like, hey, we need someone to replace someone for a title fight, a day's notice. Who can we call? And I'm right there, like, all right, sign me up for a good time. I'm ready to go. Unless something crazy like that happens, I see myself trying for a title early next year, late this year.
That's awesome. Best of luck.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Cool, you guys all done?
Cool. Thank you, guys.